Well, it's important because it affects everything and everybody. What happens in terms of healthcare or the environment has a real impact on all of us. So 50% of us, for example, will be affected by cancer at some point in our lives. 100% of us will actually know someone perhaps who's had it. So these things are incredibly important to all of us. Same with the environment, things that affect global climate change and temperatures and leads to sea levels rising and warming. That doesn't just affect people in island communities, for example, it affects all of us, and we all have to think very carefully about the profound implications of what's happening in science and what it means for us as a planet. And that's why it's important to communicate science, not just to other scientists or academics, but to as many people as possible, I think. So I don't think there are any hard and fast rules when it comes to the stories that we should be telling. We should be thinking about as many different stories as possible and really presenting and representing the entire breadth and depth of research that happens at Cambridge and other institutions like it. So we shouldn't have a narrow view of what stories we think we want to tell. We should look at each story individually on its merits, and obviously some things like healthcare and what have you do resonate with people because it's things that people are directly affected by. But whether it's in terms of astronomy and understanding our place in the universe, all these different areas of science have their own stories, and it's important that we tell them all, really. Yeah, so I mean, again, it needs to be a mix of everything. I don't think you can just concentrate fully on one specific social media channel or one specific audience, because you're going to be missing an awful lot. So people, for example, spend 40 minutes on YouTube per day, so their audience of over 1 billion. So a third of the people who are actually on the internet are actually looking on YouTube as well. So there's a huge audience there, but you have a huge audience on Facebook. Half the world's population perhaps is on Facebook. And you really have to be trying to speak to as many people in as many different ways as possible. I think that's the really important thing about science communication and communication generally. It's taking those stories and making them accessible to many different audiences. So whether that's an audience on Twitter, or on Facebook, even Snapchat, so the university has all those accounts now, Instagram and things like that. You can tell the same story in slightly different ways on different channels and make sure that you're reaching as many people as possible and trying to make people all around the world understand why research and science communications at Cambridge and other institutions is vitally important, not just to us, but to them as well.